Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Thursday, the 6th of January. With Robert Murray McShane, one of the chapters we read is Acts chapter 6, which looks at the appointment of the first deacons in the church. It begins by saying that in those days, when the number of disciples was increasing, the Hellenistic Jews among them complained against the Hebraic Jews because their widows were being overlooked in the daily distribution of food. And I found that interesting because this was the very early days of the church. It hadn't got any of the complexity we have today. It didn't have the politics we have today. And yet right from that point, already there were tensions, there were problems, there were issues that needed dealing with and sorting out. And so any kind of notion that we will be part of a church that will not have problems is unfounded. This is an imaginary church. We'll be part of that body one day in glory. As long as we are in the world and the church is populated by human beings like me, there are problems. It is just part of human nature. It is part of what humanity is. And for me, that was encouraging because we so often think, oh, when there's tension in the church and there's divisions and issues, the church is failing. No, the church is just being the church, and it has been like that from the very get-go. So for me, that is an encouraging aspect, that we have to live with these kind of tensions and problems, not only in the church, but in the world. The second thing that struck me was that they appoint deacons to oversee this work so that the apostles can focus on the ministry of the word. And we're told that they appointed a group, and Stephen and Timon and Nicanor and the various others. And then in verse 7, we're told, so the word of God spread. And there's this so, because the deacons were appointed, the word of God spread. There's this link between the two. And so often we tend to think of the support ministry and the admin of the church as being in the background, and the main thing to get the gospel out there is the preaching. No, the preaching doesn't happen without that support ministry, because the deacons could look after this aspect of the church's life. The word of God could spread. And so often churches fail when the admin and the finances and the running of the church doesn't get seen to. And so I'm constantly thanking God for the number of people here at St.Luke that are involved in various aspects of ministry, often behind the scenes, often the kind of looking after the widows and orphans, running the feeding scheme, printing what needs printing, arranging the sound, overseeing the filming, all those kind of things which keep the church going. You don't want the priest to be spending his or her time on that. You want them to be focusing on the ministry. And so it's also just an encouragement to people who have those kind of ministries and gifting. That is vital. It really is. And we see it here in the early church from the foundation. The word of God spread because the support ministry was now working. So be encouraged in your ministry in this way, and know that as we minister, we are blessed.